Eden Kaz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at EdenJustBe.com. Let's get this party started. Eden Just Be Spiritual Boom in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. And just to put it out there to everybody, I'm in a little bit of a mood today, so let's see how this translates into the show. So, hello, spiritual yogi Tonya. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello to everybody.
Okay, so I am so excited about Tonya being on the show today because we're local to each other. And I've had some folks on the show that are from around here, but again, that doesn't happen very often. So I'm very excited about that. And I'll just give you briefly how Tonya and I met. So I was going to be speaking at the Unity Tour in Akron, and Tonya at her place, Unity Yoga PLX in Portage Lakes, ended up hosting it. And then when we met, she said, hey, I was in one of your classes a long time ago. So it was just synergistic that we reconnected. So I've been teaching some classes at her studio as well. So it's really nice. So our renewed connection, I think it's been about 4 to 5 months at this point. So I am looking, does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am very much looking forward just in the show just to get to know you even more. So I'm very, very excited about that. Okay, I'll read her bio, but let me just say, okay, this show is going to be broadcast on Christmas Day, December 25th. So as y'all know, I'm not wearing one of my t-shirts today. I told Tonya I wear them on the show all the time, but I have another podcast today, so I thought I'd get a little dressed up. Yet, through December 31st, I'm offering 15% off my merchandise. So put in the code BE Holiday 15 at EdenJustBe.com and go to the merch page. Also giving $10 off my private sessions through December if you mention the podcast. And by the way, I'm like 50% remote now, which is kick butt. Very excited about that. Okay, Tonya, shall I read?
Sure.
Blurb?
Please do.
We'll get into it. Okay. Tonya Harmon Fowler has been in the health and wellness mindset for almost 25 years. Her journey has taken her from esthetician, said that right, massage therapist to plant-based medicine aficionado, yoga teacher, health and wellness coach, entrepreneur, and truth seeker. And I was thinking about that word, entrepreneur, okay, so in January, I will have been doing the show for 3 years now. And most of the people that come on here are entrepreneurs. They have their own businesses, they're spiritual. A lot of people. And knowing that is not your norm. I love that. She considers herself a born-again patriot that is currently thriving as a facilitator of spiritual and physical well-being. She loves empowering and supporting others who are on the same path. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Can you start by telling us when you started to see that we are living in a matrix or became aware of the Great Awakening, that so much does not appear as it seems to be? What brought you to that point?
I think probably like a lot of people or people in your audience, 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we had this occurrence that I had never lived through in my lifetime. We had been presented with. And I think I stayed in a fear state maybe about 2 weeks and then began to think this isn't adding up. I can't even honestly say, Eden, that I began to look for things just started to fall into my lap, into my viewing, letting me know that there were others out there feeling the same way, that were already starting to push information out there for people to see that it is not as it appears. And I became very, very I don't know. I just dove in head first. Like there was something that told me, yeah,
So okay, so we're talking about the pandemic, by the way,
yeah,
which I'm sure most of you guys are aware. So how did things just start coming to you? Like, were you just on your phone and something just showed up? Like, how did
yeah.
these little nuggets become placed?
To be completely transparent,
Yeah.
I think, I had gotten stuck at home. I had closed my business.
Oh my gosh.
I had registered to do my 500-hour yoga teacher training away in Columbus, and
Mhm.
that got shut down very fast, and it changed to remote, and that was horrific and a whole nother topic. But I would be supposed to be paying attention, learning like this. But of course, I would have a phone or an iPad going over here, and I'm scrolling as people do when their focus isn't being kept. And there would be uh, people that would just seem to suddenly present themselves to me during that time that really I began to pay attention to. And I mean, for example, I think maybe one of the very first people I think came into my view was Dr. Carrie Madej. That was one of the first things. Candace Owens, again, where did she come from? I mean, there were just all these things, people I'd never heard of, never seen their body of work, were suddenly appearing on my devices. That's, yeah.
Talk about your business that you had at the time.
At the time, I had a brick and mortar day spa.
Okay.
And it was in Uniontown, so again, not too far from where I'm at now. And I was able to keep hanging on into the space because I have multiple licenses, feathers in my cap.
Okay.
So this license would get shut down. And so I would be like, that's okay. I got three more that you haven't said have to go home yet. So I, just slowly. And then eventually, I believe it was like March 17th of 2020, it became clear that my last license had been pulled and called on the carpet, that don't show up to work anymore, blah, blah, blah. And, go home and wait for your 2 weeks to slow the spread, slow the curve thing. So,
So
yeah,
your business was highly affected by what happened.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And by the way, just so you know, when there's stuff on, I guess on your desk, when it's touched, you can hear it through. Yeah. So
Okay.
just, I guess, be mindful of that.
Okay.
Because a lot of people can't see us as well, only hear us.
Mhm.
All right. So how was that? You are, I think you're one of the few people that I know of that their business perished completely. Were you prepared for that at all? How was it doing? What was going on?
Well, again, I feel like these 4 or 5 years have been kind of a divine intervention, if you will.
Yes.
I had already been speaking to my husband a year or two coming on to 2020 that I had been doing that for 11 years. And I kept telling him I was ready to be kind of in semi-retirement. I mean, I knew I wasn't done working, but
Yeah.
I think I was done working at that. So, I had told my landlord that I would be stepping out, I think June of 2020.
Okay.
And so I thought this gave me this time window as the first of the year came on to
Wow.
start telling clients, helping them find other places to go for their services and that. And then, like I said, March came along. We got the 2 weeks. And then by the end of March, April 1st, I knew we were beyond 2 weeks. It was gonna, they said, what, another 30 days, go home. And I said, that's it. Somebody is telling that's it. And so I told the landlord I'll be out by the end of April. Obviously my clients knew I was not in business. I had some friends who were not frightened of what was going on. And they came in and helped me take that place down from the ceiling to the floor, get it cleaned up, sold off, packed away, and it rolled up. So there's a piece of me that, you know, I mean, I don't,
Okay, let me get
could I have planned it any better? I don't know. I
so
don't
let me
know.
get this straight. You had planned in June of that year to let it go anyway.
Right.
So it happened about 3 months early.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whoa. That's wow. Yeah, divine intervention. Exactly. Okay. So these people, beautiful people, started flowing in. What did you discover from that? What did you start to believe?
Oh gosh. Like I said, they were coming in and sharing information that I was, for some reason, very attracted to. I
Yeah.
was wanting to listen, wanting to know more. If they made a reference, if they suggested a book, if they said, watch this movie or documentary, I was doing it. I had the time. I was home, right? And
Right.
also, I was having some weird, like I said, experiences at home, um, doing this remote yoga program that I was at home, but somehow that training was pushing down my throat, oh, the outside world agenda that was going on, and it was not settling in my soul well. I was super sad that I had invested as much money as I had to be part of that program, because first of all, that's not the way I wanted to do it, was
Yeah.
remotely like that. I don't think you can be a very good yoga teacher when all your learning is online. That's just my personal opinion. And but at the same time, I was paying money to listen to this programming. Um, yeah, tell me about how I should be living my life, how what kind of yoga teacher I should be, how I should view the world. And it literally was hurting my soul. My husband would walk in the room sometimes and hear what was being delivered and give me a WTF, like, what is this? Um, and I mean, they had to see me. My eyes were rolling. I mean, yeah, it was awful. It
So,
was awful.
can you give some examples of that?
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So speaking freely,
Yes, please.
one of my biggest, my biggest things was there was a program that I would have done in person that was a
Yeah.
week long. So it was a big bulk of um, the cost of my training. Okay. Plus, I would have had to be there personally. I would have had to pay for a hotel, all this stuff. So it was a large chunk of the total amount of
And
money.
this was to get your yoga certification, like the
Correct.
first tier. Okay.
By
Okay. Got
500.
it.
So it was
Okay.
an advanced certification.
Okay.
And a gentleman, because of what was going on, he was supposed to come to Columbus and teach. He decides we're doing this remotely. Well, because it was remote, he could invite anybody now, okay, not just my group at this facility in Columbus. So we had people from around the world. Okay, so now the audience has gotten really large. Okay, so let's take a really large audience, which we could see ticking off in the corner how many people, as you can, that might be on your Zoom,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting into over 1,000. And now I know how much money, because our program was broke out. We saw how much money each of our programs were costing to give us the total. So I'm seeing all these people on. I know how much I paid for this portion of my program. And this gentleman sitting in his house in, I can't remember if he was in Oregon or Washington, so that'll tell you another part of the problem, looking the same shade of skin tone as you and I, talking to me about my white privilege. And I was sitting here looking at those numbers, knowing how much this gentleman was probably collecting. And again, my opinion, just because of what in my neck of the woods, again, I can't speak for everybody, but in my neck of the woods, the majority of yoga practitioners, again, are of mine and your skin color. Okay. It is what it is. We all are attracted to different things for different reasons. And I thought, you have probably just made more money than me and my husband combined for the year off of my white privilege and many others. Yeah, that was the first thing to me. Like, it was a smack in the head. Like, yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So, what did you do with this program? How did you finish it? What happened?
Well, because of everything again going on, this was to be a 2-year program had I been going. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that we were at home and we could do things a little faster, the owner and the facilitator of the program said if everybody was in agreement, we could wrap this up in 1 year. well, of course, that was kind of appealing, but there was still this part of me that I just was not satisfied
Yeah.
that I was actually getting appropriate training, experience, things like that from it. And then, like I said, more and more of this was being fed to me as I went along. I literally did think at some point in time I was going to contact an attorney and figure out, because you're under a contract with the program, how to get out of it and how to get my money back, because I did not feel I was being given what initially I had signed up and paid for.
Mhm.
And we got down to the end of the program, and the very end of the program, whatever, I did everything that I was asked, except I was told to finish the program. I had some papers I had to write, and I also had to find a studio locally that had another 500-hour practitioner that I could apprentice with, assist, whatever, for, I don't know, 60 hours, whatever it was, which I could have, but I also at that time became very disenfranchised with a lot of the local yoga studios that I watched some really strange, not yogi behavior occurring through all of this. And the last thing I wanted to do was to step foot, support, maybe have to give my money to them. So I told the owner, the facilitator, that I would not be completing the project. Like, don't worry about a certificate. I will not be completing these last offers. I think I still owed them a few $100s. They did an audit on me to see how much, just to see how much I still owed. And she gave
Okay.
me she gave me a bill, and I just looked at her and said, come and get it. And that was the end of yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah.
Okay, and it's such being a yoga teacher is such a personal experience, and knowing how to look at someone's body and how to, not just, learn it on Zoom like you said, but to be one-on-one with people, to be with multiple people. That, wow. All right, so how did you end up getting your certification?
I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
No, I
I didn't think I
didn't.
knew that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have my yoga certification, but like anything, there are levels you can
Yes.
advance.
Yes.
Um, the only thing, the only thing it would create for me at this time, if I were interested, is to be able to run a accredited, certified yoga teaching program and
Okay.
teach others.
All right, and help me with this because I'm not a yogi. So you had your certification. This was the 500 hours, the advanced a
Yeah,
curriculum, I guess.
yeah,
Okay, thank you
yeah,
for qualifying
sure.
that. And it's so neat, Tonya. I've only had on the show one other yogi, so you're my second.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, so oh man, so the 500 hours, I guess you couldn't get any credit for that at all.
I
I
don't
did
know that
200 hours.
yeah, I don't think so. So, yeah. So, I mean, I even did tell her at the end of the program too. I said, I am going to have to, I've given you $6,000, and I am going to have to go and do this again somewhere else with someone else when the time is right, because I got zip, zero, zilch from this,
Okay, and it was
except, yeah,
again, you owe us this much, give it to
yeah,
us. You said
yeah,
no, but not we're going to discount you or take anything back or
yeah, no.
wow. Again, I am so not surprised anymore at I've had a lot of experience with yoga studios as well that do not they talk the talk but they don't walk the walk. And it for me initially was very disappointing, yet I've moved away from that. And this even happened before I became aware of the Great Awakening. And now it's just the so many people in our community, in our spiritual community, don't quite know everything that's going on. And it's challenging at
Mhm.
times. What else have you noticed within that?
I just some of this weird behavior. Like I said, I really had some admiration. I had some mentorship with other people in this Northeast Ohio yoga community that yeah, just great love for. I'd been taught by them, and I was beginning to see very quickly through this. My tag phrase for 2020, 2021 was hypocrisy, because that's all I saw, and really, really badly in the local yoga community. because all the things we had been taught about how your body is a miracle and you have the tools and you have this and you have that and we hold space for everybody. And I started to watch that slowly just go out the window, like, and I just began to lose more. It just chipped away, more respect. Just, I didn't want to associate with. There was a moment I didn't want to be part of yoga, like the yoga community, because there had been a lot of that's that's not what I took away from what these people taught me. But I was watching them do the opposite, and I thought, what? Yeah, just fallen idols, right? Yeah, big time, big time.
And as I'm thinking about people that I know, again, locally, at the time, did you feel like you were the only one?
hmm Oh yeah, because I would watch. I was part online in social media, like of yoga communities, and the fighting. Oh, it was like any other social media. Somebody and the people fighting on there, and I thought, oh my God, like again, I understand we're all human, okay? And
Yeah.
I do not believe that I'm all light and love all the time, and I don't get upset, and I things don't bother me. But I mean, these people were just tearing each other down in there. If somebody made a comment that went against, and even our governing body, for every you've got the medical board and you've got the Yoga Alliance. What a Yeah, it's another. I call it a money laundering. It's another thing where they take your money and then they tell you you're a good yogi and you can do and be whatever you want because you're part of this association. Yeah, I give you money and you tell me I'm okay. I don't think so.
I think this is brilliant because you are speaking out about all the yoga powers that be and the structures. And yeah, what's that feel like?
Um, my husband coined my little phrase that he's calling me a disruptor in the yoga community.
Yeah.
Um, I don't do nor care about maybe the same things other people may in
Yeah.
this framework. It's not important to me anymore. Some of these things were, I'm being honest. But I I do not want to even be close to being a representation of what I say what was. I don't think some of these studios have quite figured that out yet, but I feel like they will eventually. I think a lot of that will get a wake up call, if you will. They're
Yeah.
still stuck in it has to be this way. Let's westernize everything. We got to follow all these rules that somebody set that I don't even know who the hell these people are. Yeah, and that's okay as long as the money comes in and the people that look alike and dress alike and sound alike walk in the door and do the same thing at the same time. Everything is good, and that is just not what I want.
By the way, I love disruptors because I don't intentionally mean to do that, but I stand for that. Also, the I do not stand for the status quo. I probably like you, I cannot keep my mouth shut because I'm also not supposed to because, spirituality and all of that. So many of us have been lied to in terms of what that is, in terms of what the world looks like. It's Tanya, I feel like it's up to us just, to take a stand. All right, tell me about your place.
It's you've mentioned it. It's called Unity Yoga. It
Yeah.
came to me kind of as I was home, like I said, for 4 years, just about. I didn't know what my next was. I don't know. Just I'm at home. I spent that time learning. In fact, me and my husband sat down, figured out. I'll say between 2020 2023, we have not done the hours for 2024 yet. Um, I spent probably at least 6,000 hours in research of what the hell was going on. I looked
Yeah.
at the medical part. I looked at geopolitical. I got interested in what the heck was going on with our money, my husband's retirement. I began to really delve into religion, which I never really was that interested in. I began to look at more spirituality, the woo side of things. I learned how to read tarot cards. I tried everything that circles around to the center of this awakening. And I think you have to take a piece, learn a piece, look at a piece of all of that, or maybe
Yes.
you don't have the full picture. I think
Right.
really that's again my opinion. So
I agree.
eventually things started to clear out in the universe there, and I could look outside the window and think humanity was returning again a bit, and thought, what am I going to do next? And I thought, okay, I'm going to open a space. The name came to me relatively easily. My hope and desire with it was to bring all kinds of ideas together, all kinds of people together. I knew we were very divided. But at the same time, while you are being open to bringing people together in a space where they could be supported on a yoga journey, a health and wellness journey, an energy journey, um, I was not either going to put up or be told that I had to accept certain things in that space of unity. Okay. I think being united means we all kind of come together. We can all be whoever and whatever we want, but playing pretend and making me have to do or believe what you believe to be part of that, or yeah, that's just not going to happen here. It's just everybody's welcome, but you're just not going to push that on other people. I mean, I had lots of people pose things to me. What are you going to do if this type of person walks in your door? What are you going to do if somebody tells you this? And the answer is no, just no. I'm not doing it. You do you, I'll do me. And if this doesn't suit you, then maybe you're just not for here. You're not my person. And that's okay, because there are lots of other places, people, and things to go and be part of. But my desire was to support people who were looking and wanting something different. Their eyes had been opened. They knew something wasn't right. They didn't have to have all the answers,
Right.
but that they knew they could be supported. There'd be a community there to maybe start delving into some of those things.
Hmm. Okay. So how long have you been open now?
Oh my gosh, going on a year and a half.
Okay. A year and a half. How's it going?
Um, it is, the energy has recently shifted here.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out I am a birth sign of Aquarius, and so I think my time is coming. My age of Aquarius energy is upon me. I knew I had to stay steady in my beliefs, even when it was tough,
Yeah.
even when it didn't look, the picture I had in my mind didn't look exactly as is. Did my damnedest to not waver. Um, and just, again, my philosophy now is be like water. You have just got to shift and move and not let it beat you up. Be open to learning what is for you, when to jump on that, when to ride that out, and when to let it go.
Let me get your thoughts on this. I've been, I'll use the word criticized a good bit. Yeah, it was funny this past weekend because I've also been criticized of, well, Eden, you need to be more emotional about this, or you need to. Why are you so calm about this? Why are you in a good in a pleasant place with this when you should be angry? Okay, so I've been working on that and learning to be calm for same for you, 25 years. So I am very excited. Okay, I know we're in a world of chaos right now. I know there are ups and downs. Yet my job, okay, this is where the little mood comes in. My job is to be foundational, peaceful, and from my perspective, we, if you choose, there are great things that are happening now that I feel 2025 is just gonna boom. So I am just so pumped and excited. And essentially, I was like, "Where no more of this rainbows and unicorns." How are you gonna? I'm like, okay, this has not been easy to do this to be fine. I have. gone through a near death experience. I have, just recently in the 4 years when all of that happened and my awakening started, pretty much every relationship changed drastically. And we're not talking about fun, like, keep talking for a second. Like it was hard stuff. I've been through some hard stuff. So for me at this point to really attempt to exude, so I'm not being so peaceful at this moment, but just to get this out, to exude peacefulness and to really work on this, it has not just come overnight like, oh, everything's great. I know everything's great, but I also know that because I've been through these ups and downs, through this great awakening for me, this great split in my life. And I know I'm coming out on the other side, but I also know that all of this was a spiritual adventure and it was all really great. How have you been criticized for your beliefs, for essentially standing up for love and standing up for truth? Take that off.
Yeah, I think one of the first things was as I was preparing to open the studio and I was reaching out and talking to other, past students, teachers that I was in community with that didn't seem to be falling for everything. And so those were the people I wanted to surround myself as I lifted this endeavor off the ground.
Yeah.
And I did have one of them, I still remember this day, who looked at me and said, Tonya, opening that business, you're going to have to stop posting what you do on social media. Okay. So, because my posts very much leaned into anti this and this is wrong and it's evil and pedophilia is more than a creepy guy standing on a corner. So my posts were leaning into very uncomfortable. And so I was told when I was going to physically open this building that was going to obviously put off some people. And I looked at her and I said, no, I'm not going to do that, because the point of, and again, something I learned through the process, is the people that are meant to be here, that's going to attract them here right now. Like, I'm making space for those people, whoever that might be. Like I said, people that are already on that train or people who are starting to be like, something's weird, I want to know more. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then, you talked about the Unity tour. Oh boy. I even had people within the studio space working with me.
Okay. Can you tell people what that was?
What?
What the Unity tour was?
Oh, okay. Oh,
I know I mentioned it, but I didn't really go into it.
Oh, yeah. I think this would be a lovely story. Can I tell a little bit? All
Please.
Right. So, as I was saying, people came into my view as I was going through these past couple years.
Yeah.
Louis Herms I'm getting goosebumps right now, just even mentioning the word, would be one of those people. Screw Big Gov, his platform, it all came into my view. I was very drawn to what he had to say. I liked that he was bringing people together. I liked that he seemed like your next door neighbor Joe kind of thing. He just seemed to care about people, bringing people together, sacrificing himself, kind of doing what you and I and a lot of other people, just standing up for what I know is right. He was, having his own problems, watching him have his own problems with family and friends as he went through this. So I think it was the second Truth Tour, that he had. And we went down to Columbus to be a VIP at his, which meant you got to sit in the front row. It was all, you wanted to support his endeavor. So you wanted to do whatever. And it was awesome to meet him. And I believe I met Bruce. Poppy was there with him then. I got exposed to Ethan Lucas and the woman from the Iowa Mama Bears. So there were just a lot of great patriots all over the country that had come together to talk about what they were doing in their communities.
Okay, so the tour was basically to bring everybody together just to talk.
So that kind of kept me glued or connected to Lou, like wanting to watch, wanting to see what he was doing, support him however I could. So weirdly enough, he said, oh, I'm not doing anymore. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And all of a sudden the chatter started that he was going to do another tour. And then the name of the tour, my business was already open. So again, it was divine intervention. My business was already open and he was going to name his the Unity Tour. And I'm like, oh, you have to come to Unity, the Unity Yoga Studio. So I reached out to his partner in crime there, Robert Imbrielli, and said, is the schedule up yet? And all my hope was, Eden, was if you're going to be anywhere close by, you're going to drive through, I don't know, would you stop and maybe I could gather some people and meet and take a few minutes and, you guys take a load off and talk to some like-minded people and then get on your way. And I said, is the schedule up? Is that, ready to go? And Robert says, well, it is, it could change, but here's what we have. So I'm scanning the tour stops, which at that time looked complete to me. And lo and behold, Akron, Ohio is on that. And I thought, who the hell wants to come to Akron, Ohio? Okay. Like, who wants to come here? But it was on the tour. So again, I reached back out and I said, who is the host? And if there is no host, I am the host. And they were like, it's yours. And it was just perfection. And then that night when Lewis walked in here, I mean, that was really my only and biggest question to him. Like, how did you pick Akron, Ohio? Like, what drew you here so that I could host you? And his answer's kind of the same as mine. He says, I have a process. Something comes in, something tells me, and here it was. And I'm like, well, yeah, I couldn't. Again, I've had so many meant to be's in these past 4 years. I can't even tell you. Magical type things. Yes, for sure.
And it is spiritual and divine where he's guided. Okay. So then that was interesting for me that I think someone told me 2 weeks before. I mean, it was close that they were coming through Akron. And my big thing, just like a week or two before, was like, how Unity. I've got to, bring about unity. And the same thing, Unity Tour, Unity Yoga. I was like, oh, I'm just meant to be there or whatever. So it was so magical. And I would say the turnout there was mediocre. Like it wasn't huge, yet that doesn't matter. Just bringing people together, it was awesome.
Yeah, very much so. I think somebody on his staff said it was one of the better turnouts they had.
No way. Because we probably had like 20, 30 people.
Oh, gosh. I think we were closer to 40.
Oh, my gosh.
So.
That's nice.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Because I think I collected 30 some emails.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Girl, it takes powerful women to do what we do. Can I say that about us?
Absolutely. You don't, I will.
Hey, and I want to talk to you too, because I thought this was really cool that you, I went to January 6th. You did as well. What drew you to go to DC at that point?
I had a friend I was very close with at the time who felt and saw a lot of the same things that I did. Mm-hmm. And we had seen that a bus tour locally was going to go down there. And we were both like, we're going. And something happened. I think for me, it became like a scheduling issue started to arise, personal stuff at home, who's going to let the dogs out. My husband wasn't home. There was just all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is becoming, kind of a pain. I'm not going to go. And then again, intervention comes in and somebody says, I can watch those dogs. Don't worry about it. If you want to go, go. Okay. Well, I had let some time pass. So I called the bus company back to say, if there's any more seats, I'd like to go. And the person on the other end of the phone said, there was a couple that the wife got sick and they are not coming, and okay. You can have their ticket and you don't even have to pay. So again, I got to go and ended up going and taking that horrendous 8-hour bus ride down there. It was just a long bus ride. And then it was longer and more terrible on the way home, obviously. But so anyway, I was just very drawn I've never done anything like that. I wasn't even paying attention to politics very much. I mean, I voted. I can tell you a few things about presidents that had run through in my lifetime, but I was not paying attention. I mean, isn't that somebody else's job? I mean, let's be honest. I was not paying attention. And suddenly I was paying attention. In fact, I have to say, yeah, I mean, I said Donald Trump should have been president back when I started watching The Apprentice, because I was already noticing things then that weren't lining up with the current president. And I looked at my husband and I said, we need this country to be run by a businessman. It needs to be run like a business. We need, even if it's just for 4 or 8 years, we got to get back on track. Something's not good here. He should run for president.
Wow.
Oh, there he was. But so I don't know what it's, I was very drawn. I became very engaged in that presidency for 2020. And to the point where, again, conflict with neighbors that you were neighborly with for 20 some years. And you put up a Trump flag on your house, and that became, yeah, and we're not speaking. We still don't speak now. That's okay. Anyhow, I needed to be there. I felt drawn to be there. I can't even, and I didn't even know what was going to happen or what really my role was, except to go. I don't know.
I think you and I are so similar. I just felt like, okay, this is coming up. I went with a yogi, which is interesting, but it was the same thing. Like, I just need to go. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't really care, I guess. Yeah. I just need to be there. With your bus trip, did you ride down the day before, spend the night, leave that day? And when did everybody leave?
Weirdly enough, we went down the day of, I think we met in a parking lot, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, got on that bus. Yeah, that's what I said. It was with everything that occurred, it was a miserable 36 hours, I think. So got on the bus, we went down. So because of time in that, we completely, our understanding when we arrived in Washington, D.C., was that Trump had just finished or was finishing up his speech at the Ellipse and was walking to the Capitol.
Okay.
So we were at the Capitol and we thought there's no point walking there. People are walking here. And we were on the front side of the Capitol when we got there.
Okay.
And there wasn't much of a crowd. And in fact, we were kind of looking at each other. We made arrangements, some of us took days off work, and this is all that showed up. Like, we were really kind of like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not knowing that everyone was walking your way.
Yeah. And you're like, this is it? Like, it did. It seemed like a real flat, like, and so some of us decided to walk around to the back side of the building, which is where all the people, and I'll call it a party atmosphere, honestly, was going on. I tell people when they say, well, what did you see? I'm like, I saw like a Renaissance fair. That's what I saw. People dressed up like George Washington, carrying flags, walking across the water down there. Music was playing. But at the same time, I got my first taste of tear gas, but I wasn't quite sure where that was coming from. But because I wasn't really seeing any police. The police were way off, blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks away. Mm-hmm. And you thought, well, this is really odd to have this many people gathered and the police are lined up far away. There were no snipers on the roof. I found that odd. We were part of some little play acting that happened when we were on the front side where people seemed like they were pretending to push over the bike racks and then falling down kind of like very clownishly, and all of a sudden there was drama. The big paramedic truck swoops around, picks them up, lets them come in, and then pushes them out. There were some weird things even before we knew what was going on, but you were still like, whatever. So it wasn't until the backside that you saw the crowd, and there were a ton of people. Again, still thinking it was very weird to have all that scaffolding up, knowing you were expecting that many people. Also thought it was weird, the two on the back building, the scaffolds, the freestanding that had barn size, planet size Trump flags hanging off them. What time of the day did those people have to get there to get those flags up and hanging and nobody stopped? Like, I don't know. There was a lot of weird things, even just observing before whatever broke out. But we happened to, you're cold. It was much colder that day than it had been advertised. I think there was one porta potty for 2
Uh-huh.
million people,
Hmm.
and one food truck is all we seemed to find. So somebody in our group wanted to go down to the Washington Monument. So we happened to start walking that way. Halfway, we looked and we're like, we're sitting on this bench. Here's a food truck. We're getting something to eat. We will stay here. We will wait for you. Probably what saved my ass, I guess. I don't know. Um, they went to the monument. They came back. They picked us up. We knew we had to be back to pick up our bus at like 4:30. We had to start heading back.
No
And as we're
way.
walking back, we're passing the Capitol.
Okay.
And it seems like there's a little skirmish going on
Mhm.
outside. We're like, whoa, what's going on? And then, of course, our phones were going off. Time to go home. Mayor Bowser's like, get out of here. City's closing. Blah, 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 blah. Get out, get out. And then we started to see the Virginia State Police come in, SWAT come in. Like all of a sudden, there was just a lot going on.
Yep.
And at the same time that we were trying to get back to the bus and try to figure out what the hell happened.
So how far was the bus? Like walking distance?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't, I apologize for not knowing what that station, I mean, there is a bus
Okay.
station or train station there, not
Wow.
too far away.
Okay.
And the buses were parked there in a parking lot. So that's where we had to head back to. But we did, we were hurdling all these, like I said, Virginia State Police coming in, SWAT teams, all the rest of it. And at the same time, while we were walking back, my phone, of course, is blowing up. One, my husband, he's calling. Are you okay?
Are
Where
you
are you?
okay?
What's going on? And so I was very confused. Like, what, And he was telling me that the television was telling him that pandemonium had broken out and all this stuff. And I'm like, just let me get back to the bus. I'm okay. I'll get back to the bus and I'll call you. And at the same time, I'm getting messages from people on that I think knew or saw me via Facebook until communication was shut down, which was very quickly in the day
Yeah.
that I was there. And I got some messages saying, thank you for standing in when I couldn't be there or didn't go. And these would be people that maybe you don't talk to that much, and they must have caught I was there. And then I had other people that I haven't seen since grade school wishing me death, wishing me to die of COVID. People that had been in my home telling me to get out of there, or if I get arrested, I deserve it. Yeah, it was. And you really were just kind of standing there with a WTF moment, like, because that's not what I was personally and physically observing. But everybody at home who watches, that box had another version of that day. And and it was very it was a weird ride home. Weird ride home.
Whoa. Because for me, I didn't really tell anyone I was going. So for you to get those messages of care and hate at the same time that this creation circus was going on, um, yeah, I don't know about you, but it was one of those situations at the time I was in like in disbelief because I knew that things were a show and created that weren't really true, but I had never been involved in anything before. And I didn't expect it to be like I almost wish I'd taken more pictures. Um, because the same thing for you, anyone who was not there who sees it on TV, they're like, that was horrible. I can't believe you were a part of that. And I'm like, it wasn't like that at all. It was all a game. It was all a show. It was all faked. When people started going towards the Capitol, the Secret Service or whatever who were there just started backing off. They were allowed. And I was on the lawn of the Capitol as well. And I looked at my friend. I'm like, we're probably not supposed to be here because they were like, come on up, come on in. So yeah, it was wow to get both of those messages. And then what was the mood like on the bus going back?
It was horrible. And of course, everybody was listening to
Yeah.
different things. And I'm going to be
Okay.
honest here again. Okay.
Yeah.
So I even thought listening to what folks were listening to, it reminded me of an old Batman movie. You remember? Pow, Kapow! It sounded like a bar fight, but the background sounded like downtown Fallujah during the Iraqi war. Like
Yeah.
I could even hear in what was being put over the airways, it didn't, there was
It
not,
didn't feel real.
no, there was no reality to what even was being, but at the same time, the words are coming out that you're an insurrectionist, you're a terrorist, you guys have stormed upon the Capitol, you've done this, you've done that. And all we were sitting there like, we just showed up to support somebody that we believed in, and we did nothing except sit on a bench and eat a bad hot dog somewhere. I don't know what is going on. But I mean, even in our bus driver, or not our exact bus driver, because 2 buses from our area went, but the
Yeah.
owner of that busing line is sitting in jail right now.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, he is.
Oh, that's poignant too. Okay, let me just take a minute. Ooh, man. Okay, to shift gears for just a moment, thank you so much for sharing. We had talked previously about you sharing people that really have helped you during the way. And I know you already talked about Lewis. Is there anybody else that you want to highlight that really helped to open your eyes to the truths?
Well, I would just say this. Obviously, we both probably run into people on a daily basis that still have no clue. Some that are starting to get a clue. And you always get those comments from people about, well, could you just tell me? Well, no, I
Oh
can't just
gosh.
tell you, because if I tell you, then I become the new substitute for your source of information. The point of all of this, a big point of the Great Awakening, is to wake up that critical thinking that has gone to sleep in most of us, has been indoctrinated out of us, programmed out of us, poisoned out of us. And the point is for you to get up and start finding something that's going on that you're attracted to, that appeals to you, that's important to you. Start there. Dig in, watch, read more than a headline. Okay. Our capacity for thinking and our time span now has shortened. So we have to practice paying attention a little longer and not being distracted. So, I mean, I would highly recommend, there's just so many things out there. Podcasts. I definitely am a big fan of Rumble and Telegram now. You're not going to get the truth. I mean, sometimes you see it seep out on Instagram and Facebook, and once in a while we're even getting some on mainstream media, but I don't watch that, so I don't technically know that. It just kind of comes into my purview from time to time. But you have to decide what's important to you, whether, you're struggling financially and you really need to dig into the financial side of things. Maybe you are a spiritual person, because like you said, we've run into that a lot, where people probably more spiritually dug in than I think we're going to head down a road of disaster. I've had spiritual people look at me and out of the blue say, you look like shit is going to hit the fan. And I'm like, yes, I do. But their perception of that is that we are going in a negative timeline, that
Right.
we
Very
are
dark.
going, very dark times. That's not how I feel at all.
I agree.
So I would just say to people that you have to find what you're passionate about right now. If you like history, I would definitely say you need to find again, things I didn't care about, I didn't pay attention to, but I'm super excited about. Like, I can sit and talk to you about all kinds of stuff. But I love, his name is Mike King. He does Real News and History. He is a fabulous, I think he's going to write the textbooks moving forward into the future. He's very good at being able to take parts of history, and show you how it's coming full circle now, or how things that happened in the past are pointing us here. And I can't get away without saying, you have to pay attention, or at least know what these Q drops or Q posts are. You don't have to believe in it if that's not your thing, but somebody, something, an entity, technology, I don't know what, I don't have the answers, but something has put out a guideline, a map out here. And it is telling you about this particular timeline we're living right now. Could bad people have put it out? They sure could have. I'm not pretending to know, but I think it gives you a structure or a framework, and it does bring you some peace to
And
know.
it's woken a huge amount of people up.
Right. And this gentleman, like I said, Mike King, really awesome he can connect what you might be reading in the Washington Post, what you're seeing on the news with a Q drop. Or if Donald Trump is giving a speech or at a rally and he keeps making a comment, you know how people say, oh, he's just mumbling. No, if you really listen, he's communicating something if you're paying attention. But you got to be paying attention. Or yes, it does sound like, over boisterous word salad to you. I get it. And that, I guess, would be my thing to a lot of people is if you don't care for the man or you don't understand the man, to take a moment and watch a full speech, watch a full rally. Okay. And then don't look at the person, look at the messages you're being given and see how that connects with maybe things you're going through, things you're seeing, things you're hearing from other people that you're not quite sure. You maybe you don't buy in, but you're like, this is kind of weird. So he's an awesome person to pay attention to. I'm a big fan. I know Derek Johnson and his Midnight Rider Rides Again. Like if you look at that book he's written, he's done an awesome job at putting all the information in one place because people want bullet points. They want it shortened up. They want, chop, chop, chop. To read what's going on from a government and military standpoint. He even he's got something called the documents. There's links in there that links back the information back to old videos that have been done. He knows the executive orders that Donald Trump put into place, like the back of his hand. Mm-hmm. So if you need logical, put your hands on something.
Yeah.
And I can go on and on with stuff like that. You have to also, and I know it makes people uncomfortable, but you have to understand we are in a spiritual battle. So you have to look at what I call the woo side of things. Mm-hmm. You have to look at the evil that's present in this world and maybe where that stems from. Like I have read the Satanic Bible. I have read, it's called... it was written, in fact, or was written by Robert David Steele, and there's a series of them. But I got through the first one, and that was enough. But it is the pedophilia empire, Satan, sodomy, and the deep state. Okay, obviously topics people don't. Right. It reads like a textbook, and that's really weird. But if you want to understand, again, I made a comment earlier about, I think we all associated pedophilia with some little weird guy that hung out at a park. You thought about satanic rituals, maybe as three ladies that called themselves witches that got together on Halloween and hurt a black cat. You need to know that this is way more than those things that movies and TV and books have portrayed. They are just, I can't even say they're the tip of the iceberg. It's the pinhead of and you have to, as uncomfortable and disgusting,
you have to be willing.
Yes, you have to look at it and realize it's going on. I mean, Kathy O'Brien and her books, her congressional testimony, these are things out there that I don't think we all knew were happening or was available to look at until these past 4 or 5 years, or you cared to pay attention to. I mean, she's a human trafficking survivor, like a MK Ultra Project Monarch survivor, and was pimped out to government officials, presidents that I once loved. Did I cry and cry when I found out some of the people that I thought?
Yes.
And I voted for them. And
for someone to ask you, can you put this in bullet points? It is like, for me too, it's years of discovery where there's this, and then there's this, and then and for me to tell someone, oh, well, I can say most everything that you've been taught isn't true. Well, what does that mean exactly? Well, start doing some research and
Right.
figuring it out. Okay. Because I believe too that you have to look at the dark because that is where you make the choice. Am I going to be in the dark or am I going to be in the divine light? So that is what this great awakening to me is a part of, that you have to be willing because we're all the dark. Like that isn't separate from us either. So we to
Right.
look at it and to accept it on some level, but then to know that when you do that, you can really change the world, change your life, change your soul. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've had people ask me, how do you sleep at night, knowing, reading, watching what you do?
Yeah.
And I said, well, the funny part is I sleep really well because I do know.
Oh my gosh, that was a brilliant statement. All right, girl. Oh, we could keep talking
I
for so
know, I
long,
know.
but it's beautiful. Can we move into I think the end and this is timely as well, talking about all this dark stuff, and suddenly we're going to move into the Just Be practice, which is about unity or calmness. Yeah, what would you like to do for us today
Just be
to help
Well,
us?
my practice was kind of just giving people those points of reference. I'd be happy to
Okay.
list off more. I'd be happy to put it in a format, but maybe a beginner's place, yeah. I've had people ask me, are you going to write a book? And I'm like, how would that go? Like, what would it look like? But I've had multiple people ask me that. You should write a book. You should write a book. And I'm like, but what? Like, I wouldn't even, yeah, it's
Okay. So your practice
yeah.
is that just presenting things or people for others to look at. And let's end with this too. You and I talked this past Saturday, about discernment being such a key right now. That there have been people that I have listened to in the past, and now I'm just like, I don't align with them at all. Like, what's changed? So, my advice, and I'll ask you to give yours as well. If anyone that you're drawn to, if there's any fear with it versus truth, I would notice that and step away. If it's truly about love and about harmony, that to me is where I want to be involved in right now. It's not about just show me the good stuff. Okay, I see, I know the other stuff that's going on. I do not have to be told that anymore. Okay, there's still open things to more rabbit holes to see, and I'm game with that. Yet I align right now with people that are positive, that see the beauty that is happening. If there's anything that, well, this is going to happen and that's going to happen, I am not clicking with that because I also believe at this moment, if that's what you connect to, that could potentially happen to you. So for me, no. All right. What would you add to that?
Just, as a just be practice, I would finish up, I guess, with a pep talk. And the pep talk would be, I would reiterate Eden's statement.
Thank you.
No, I think we are headed to a glorious time. But I also believe you're going to choose if you're going to the glorious time.
Yep.
And how do we choose to go to that? Well, like we were saying, you have to be able, willing, have the courage, step out of the fear and look at some of it, because how do you know what it is you need to do or what you might need to fight for? Or I don't have physical human children. I'm fighting for your children. I want them to have the childhood at least like mine, or half of what I was able to achieve, be part of, be raised in. I want that for everybody's kids. But the only way that's going to happen is if adults, people like you and I, stand up now and say, no, this isn't right. This doesn't feel good. It doesn't resonate with me. It's not how I want to see my kids have to live. I don't want to see other kids live like that. And again, like I said, this isn't about all light and love, okay? It's about sometimes saying, F that, we're not doing it like that. I don't care how you, like, politeness for me has gone out the window. I will not come necessarily and come at you to be combative. But if you open that door, I'm stepping in. And I think it's time when that door opens, you have to step in. Do not come to me and tell me, well, I wish I would have, I should have, they said this. I have no respect for that. It is time to you have just got to, stand in what is truthful for you, what you want out of your life, what doesn't feel good, what looks wrong. And the more of us that do that and the faster we do it,
Oh, yeah.
the quicker we get to this glorious time, and
Yes.
we take more of the people that we love with us. You just got to be willing and able.
That was another beautiful statement. Tonya, the more that I get to know you, the more I see how aligned we are. And I'm so touched, I guess, is to have someone in my world, in my circle, that is like you, because I same thing. I love you, but it's also this period of time is about, like, if I don't connect with you, I'll love you from afar. So it's still all about love. Yet our authenticity, our freedom, our sovereignty, our learning to use our voices. I've done things in the past couple of years that I never would have done or stood up for, and it's been challenging, but it's been so good to see that I have that strength within myself. I love it.
I think we were, you always wonder, what was my purpose in life? Why was I here? It wasn't to work, to sleep, like, I was put on this earth right now for exactly this time. I know it in my heart. I know it in my soul. I'm meant to be here. We're meant to connect. Like-minded folks like us, as that circle keeps growing, there is nothing more. You couldn't dissuade me otherwise. There is a point and a purpose for this time right now.
All right. Well, Tonya, thank you so much. And anyone who's local watching this, I encourage you to check out Unity Yoga in Portage Lakes. We didn't even talk about, well, we'll have to do this later because you have lots of products there as well that you offer. A lot of cannabis. Tell me if I'm cannabis THC products. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, I use or sell here a lot of CBD and THC infused products, which, if used correctly, provide the therapeutic, effects. We're not just the euphoric and I'm going to party on a Saturday night, but how could plant-based medicine be used instead of traditional pharmaceuticals, Western medicine for anxiety, pain, sleep, things like that?
Yes. Okay. And you're awesome massage therapist as well. All right. So for those looking for something different, you got me, you got Tonya, you got many other people around here. We're just trying to drag them all and find them all out. Tonya, if you can hang on with me for just a minute. Oh, P and Colin were supposed to be on the show today. They were not feeling all that great. So they will be coming to us in January. They're my only regulars that are on the show. They are people that I also really align with and really trust. Tonya, thank you so much for bringing your heart to the show today. Hang on with me just a minute. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week. Bye. Tonya, say bye.
Bye, guys.
Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So subscribe, do it all. See ya.